action. Hello, everybody, and welcome to LA Rams Central. I'm going to clear a couple things up. Thank you guys for the input. It seemed like you guys respected what we tried to do and what we did do, and we always want to keep all the fans in mind. So I know on behalf of me and Eric, I want to say thank you for that. Eric, do you want to comment on that really quick?
Well, first I just want to say good afternoon, LA Rams Central, and let's just take it away.
All right. Now, I had some comments in the past about the jersey, so let me explain one thing abundantly clear here for everyone to hear. My favorite Ram uniform is and always will be the blue and yellows, okay? The uniforms they wore when they were in LA from 73 until they left, and even through St. Louis into 99. However, this is the uniform they're currently wearing, so until they change their jerseys, what I try to do, this is my deal, anytime the Rams play, if they're home, I try to match their home uniforms. If they're away, I try to match their away uniforms. I made an exception this year, and I told myself anytime the Rams were home, I was going to wear the blue and yellow Goff jersey. And anytime they're away, I was going to wear the Todd Gurley Currents. If you guys don't like the St. Louis colors, I'm sorry, but it's their colors right now until they change the uniform. I don't understand why
Anthony, stop lying, please. You love those color rush mustard yellow uniforms. Don't lie.
God, I don't, but I do need to get at least an Aaron Donald one to complete the set. But those things are straight from the 1940s, literally. For those of you that don't know, those are the uniforms the Rams wore from 1946 to 1950, to even through 51 or 52, I think. And then they changed the uniforms, and they eventually went to the blues and whites. I wouldn't mind the old school blue and whites. They're vanilla and they're good, but I just prefer the Rams if they're going to change their uniform. I want them to go full throttle and just go to the blue and yellows. Treat this as an homage to the old 60 Rams, and then usher back in the blue and yellows as they move forward, which I think can happen. But I am a little frustrated that the Lions get to change their uniforms and the Rams can't. I don't get that. But anyway, I digress.
Let me just add something there for being a non-Rams fan. I'm a big fan of the blue and yellow.
Yeah.
However, because the NFL is doing its color rush stuff, I would not want to see the yellow, the full yellow on TV. I think that they do it really well with the blue, and they've done it really well with the blue in the past. But for an outsider's opinion, I would love to see the blue and yellow back to where it was when they were in St. Louis. I think that's a great color scheme, and not the gold, but the definite yellow.
Yeah, I agree. So don't think I'm repping these colors because I like them. I'm repping them because I live in Arizona, and this is what I could get. I know I could go on the website, and I have in the past, and you got me the gray jersey, but this is how I roll. Sorry, guys, if you don't like it or approve it, but this is me, and that's you, and we're good. Anyway, so predictions. So going into last week, Michael Irvin was 22-9. Rich Eisen was 21-10. Steve Mariucci was 21-10. Marshall was 20-11, and Kurt was 19-11. Now, I don't have their records currently, except I will tell you this. Rich last week went 10-5. I'm assuming he picked the Monday night game correctly, so he was 11-5. So that would put him at 22-15. I'm sorry, 32-15. Let's see here. Where's Mooch? Oh, Mooch went 6-10. I know he picked Dallas. So I'm going to say Mooch right now is 27-20. Marshall had another bad week. He went 7-8. So he's now 27 and looks like 19. Kurt Warner went 8-7 again. So that's now 19, 20, 21. It's 27-19. So he's tied with Marshall. And then Irvin went 7-8 last week. So that's 29-18. So Eric, right now, me and you, if we were on the network, would only be 2 games behind Rich Eisen. So far, adding up our predictions through the course of the season, we have an identical 30-17 record.
Well, that's very interesting.
It's very interesting, and it's very funny.
I swear, like 2 weeks ago, I won like 1 game.
It felt like it, but no, you actually didn't. This week I went 10-6, and considering the week as it was as far as upsets go, I did really well. The Redskin prediction, I knew the Redskins were going to win that game. I thought the Redskins were better than people were giving them credit for. I just didn't expect them to win like they did, as we said on the show. But I was very pleased with our results, and right now we're both 30-17. So,
well, there's only one thing left to do then, Anthony, and that is kick your butt this weekend and leave you in the dust.
Look, listen. Here's the deal. I'm going to bring you some tissues. I'm going to ship them via Amazon, and I'm also going to get you a little teddy bear so you can hug it while you cry, because you're not only going to be losing at the end of this week, but you're also going to lose in fantasy football. So suck it up, Buttercup, and get your tissues ready, because you're going down twice.
All right, well, I hope Drew Brees doesn't light up London for 7 touchdown passes for your sake.
Yeah, well, there is that, but, he's in London, so he also could get lit up with 7 picks for all we know. So,
He could. Hopefully, hopefully he does not have Joe Flacco-itis.
I'm glad my wife didn't hear that. So, yeah. No, I'm hoping he does. A couple pick sixes. That'd be great. Do us a favor. So, keep it up. So, we'll see how it all breaks down. But Thursday night, Eric, I'll let you take it away. I'll chime in. This game was as predictable as I thought it was going to be. There was no surprise here. Chicago got a beat down 35-14. We both called it. Take it away.
Well, yeah, okay. So, listening to Chicago sports radio, I listen to mainly one channel out here, ESPN 1000, and it's a show called Waddle and Sylvie. Now, for those who may know, and I know Anthony, I know you know him, but Tom Waddle used to be the wide receiver for the Chicago Bears.
Yep.
Very respected on the radio, always provides good insight. Now, they had a guest on, and they're like, "Oh, the line is 7.5," and no, I'm not a betting person, but I just found this interesting. And they're like, "Well, take the Bears," and I'm like, first of all, have you watched this Bears team? Did you see what happened on the road? And third, it's Green Bay. They have Aaron Rodgers. We have Mike Glennon. One's going to the Hall of Fame. The other's going to go to the unemployment line. Then they're like, "Oh, okay, the over-under for points in the game is 44." And they're like, "Stay away from that." I'm like, really? Stay away from 44 points? Because Green Bay's going to put up at least 30. Unless they hold the Bears to nothing. And it was exactly how it was basically scripted if you didn't want a football game to go your way.
Yeah.
Packers get the ball first, march down for a touchdown. Bears get the ball. Oh, let's sack, fumble, and next play score a touchdown. After that, when it was 14-0, it was you might as well have just turned out the lights and gone home.
Yeah.
Because there was no way that Bears offense was going to be able to come back from even 14 points down. Now you look at the score, you say, "Well, Eric, they scored 21." Yeah, they started scoring points when they were already down 21.
Yeah, when that game. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say when Aaron Rodgers went up 14-0, I had Don Meredith in my head. Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end.
That's pretty much how it felt on Thursday night.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that Devontae Adams is okay.
Yeah.
He's a scary kid, and I've heard both sides of the conundrum. Okay, did Trevathan, go after him and with the intent to injure? To which I say, it's a possibility. We'll never know for sure, but I mean the way his actions were, you would have thought that he did purposely. But football is a very violent game, you're going 100% each play. And so when a guy is either held up or he ducks his head, you have the slightest of split seconds to make a decision on what to do. And I'm guaranteeing you that 1,000 out of 1,000 times that a play happens, the same guy is going to keep going and barrel into the opposing player. He's not going to stop and say, "Oh, I'm going to get flagged here, and I might hurt you, so I'm going to give up on this play."
Yeah, look,
Not going to happen.
dude,
Not going to happen.
first of all, let me tell you as someone who's played the game. On defense, you have one job. Kill the man with the football. And defense is all about attitude and sending a message. And the more they change the rules and the more they tweak this and the more we try to be politically correct in football, the more it's going to be unwatchable. It's bad enough I've got to see incompletion, penalty, incompletion, penalty, incompletion, penalty. Like, it gets old. When you take the wow factor out of football, which is the big hit, and I'm telling you, Eric, all summer long, I've been watching old football games from the 80s from my collection. And there was a hit Ronnie Lott put on Gary Clark in a game in 85 between the Redskins and Niners that it made me stand up and go, "Oh!" Like it was an awesome hit. Today, he would have been thrown out of the game. He would have been suspended. He would have been fined. And everyone would be talking about how dirty of a football player Ronnie Lott was. And you want to know the funny thing is? Gary Clark popped right back up, dropped the football, signaled first down, and lined up in the huddle. Now, I remind you that Ronnie Lott was 220, 210, actually, and Gary Clark was 185 pounds soaking wet. Can you explain to me why he popped up and a lot of these guys today don't? Now, I'm not talking about the Davante Adams hit in particular, but in general. It begs a question and a conversation one should have down the road. Because I don't understand. I mean, is it because they're hitting more in practice back then than they are today? I mean, that hit was not dirty. It was old school football, and it was unfortunate.
You know what? That's funny you bring that up. I started thinking about that during the Bear-Packer game, and they're talking about all these Packers players, going down like flies with injuries. I'm like, well, you barely practice. You probably rarely ever get hit or hit in practice. Yet you're the ones who wanted this. So there's only one reason why that you guys are going down so easily with injuries. Tweak, knee, shoulder, concussion, because you're not doing it in practice.
Yeah. Or they're going half speed.
Like, you can't get injured in practice. That's not what I'm saying. But you're more aware of the hits that are coming to brace yourself. And I know a lot of offensive players now, put their shoulder down, try to knock the defender over. But, there's common ground here. When these guys 7-10 years ago were doing, when they were going to camp and they were having those padded practices day in and day out. Yeah, it did get worn down at the end of camp, but it built up what you're going to have for the regular season. I mean, you can simulate practice all you want. It's never going to be the same as a regular game. But these guys weren't getting as injured, or as many weren't getting as injured.
No, they weren't. But anyway, all right, so any other comments on this game before we move on?
Yeah, it was – the Bears were down 35-14, and they had an 8.5-minute drive in the fourth quarter. And there was absolutely no giddy-up to their offense. Obviously, when Marcus Wheaton is your wide receiver, 5 targets, no catches in 2 games, and you have Bellamy and Zach Miller, it's nice to see Kendall Wright actually show up in a game. He really did against Pittsburgh. But they need playmakers. They don't have it. They're talking about Trubisky. Bring Trubisky. Trubisky's not going to make Kendall Wright and Marcus Wheaton all of a sudden Antonio Brown and Mike Evans. It's not going to work like that.
Well, I'll tell you right now.
The same problems with Trubisky are going to be there, but because it's a backup quarterback that you spent a first round pick UConn, the second overall pick, they think it's a diamond in the rough. They talked about, what you're doing for the kid and not playing him. Why don't you just have him be the third string quarterback and have Mark Sanchez as the backup? Heck no. I don't want Mark Sanchez even anywhere near a football field in my town.
Well,
Get out of here with that crap. Third quarterback, he's fine. But I think week 5 is when you're going to see Trubisky. Nothing's official yet, but there's rumblings. So I'll be a little bit more stoked about the Bears, especially their future coming up. But this game was an absolute joke. I mean, no offense. The Packers. Aaron Rodgers didn't even throw for 180 yards, but he threw 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Not even 180 yards.
Yeah.
And again, no takeaways for the Bears. So they've had a takeaway in one game. They had 2 takeaways against Pittsburgh. They haven't had a takeaway in another game. So the Bears are bottom of the dog pile right now.
Look, I'm going to end it with this. You cannot. I would not play Trubisky this year because the media is a problem. And if you're saying that they have no weapons around him, then you're going to end up with your Jared Goff situation where they're going to say, oh, he hasn't won a game, or look at how bad he is. And the media will do everything they can to ruin his career. Coupled with the fact that you have people like Mike Tirico who said the following statement, Eric. The Chicago Bears need to start Mike Trubisky. I mean, they moved all the way up to number 2 to get him.
Well, yeah, really, thank you, Mike. But it's a catch-22.
Well, hold on. What I wanted to say was, you moved all the way up. You were at 3.
Yeah, I know. But it's a catch-22, like I said, because if you don't start him at all this year, the whole thing that you're going to hear in the offseason and in training camp is that he's got 13 career collegiate starts. So if, and I'm talking a big if, they decided to start him from the beginning, he would have had four NFL games under his belt.
Yeah, well.
Okay, then we wouldn't have to hear about 13 career collegiate starts anymore. So the sooner they get him in, even if he ends up having statistics like Jared Goff's last 7 games last year, I would rather have him starting and getting used to the NFL action than not playing at all and hearing about 13 starts for the next year.
Yeah.
You have to play.
Well, okay, let's go to the New Orleans Miami game in London. Miami's yet to have a home game this year. We will be going into the second week of October before they even have a home game, and I don't even know if they're home that following week or not. This is really going to be a bad football game, like almost unwatchable. I'm going to watch a little bit of it just because you have Breeze and I'm going against you in fantasy, but I won't be surprised if this is a 6-3 game or if it's 142-3, one way or the other. Neither of these teams have a good defense. Neither of these teams have really shown look, the Dolphins lost to the Jets. That's about the worst loss. I mean, that's worse. That is the worst loss of the 2017 season so far. I mean, I don't care what other game you want to put up there and go, well, no. That was a terrible loss because just talent-wise, you were better than the Jets. The Saints, I thought, were an improved football team, and I think they're going to be a good football team, but man, still, you're going to London. There's that whole time zone thing and all that drag down, and Drew Brees outside isn't as good as Drew Brees inside. So, I picked New Orleans, but I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 23-20, and the running game took over because the passing game was so mundane. Your go.
Well, I think it's going to be New Orleans, and it's going to be easy for them.
Okay.
And you're going to see, at least 2 or 3 Drew Brees touchdown passes.
That's what you're hoping for, buddy.
And I say that because they don't run the ball. You can give it to Adrian Peterson. You can give it to Mark Ingram. They're not going to score. Drew Brees is their offense. The whole offense runs Drew Brees.
Yeah.
The Dolphins are just jet lag, road lag, whatever other lag you want to put on there. Jay Cutler is not a good quarterback. I've expressed that for the last 8 years when he was on the Bears. If he gets his yards, it's going to be 5-yard outs to Landry and Devontae Parker. I don't see the Dolphins winning this game, they may be ticked off that they lost to the Jets last week. But when you lose to the Jets next week, don't have a home game, and then got to go. Technically, you are home this week, but you're in London, so you're not home. And you got to get on a plane, go over the pond, over to England. It doesn't bode well for you.
Well,
I see more of a score than what the Saints did last week. I see a 34-13 type of game.
look, I don't know. I don't know that the Saints could stop the running game, Eric. I mean, I know they did against the Panthers, but the Panthers' running game has been anemic all year long. Ajayi is for real. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Well, then here's what you do. You load up the box and make Jay Cutler beat you, because I guarantee you he'll throw a couple things.
Probably a couple pick sixes, too. Buffalo and Atlanta, I'll let you take this one first, and then I'll chime in.
You know, if this were up north in Buffalo, I would give Buffalo a slight chance. This is in the Dome in Atlanta, and that Falcons offense is just lethal. You know, hopefully Matt Ryan decides to throw to Austin Hooper and Coleman and Freeman, and Julio Jones is left out there for one catch for 9 yards.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that. Not going to happen, buddy.
But in all realness, you know, if the Bills had games, I believe, is he still out?
Who?
EJ Gaines, the guy the Bills traded for when they traded Sammy Watkins.
I think he's in.
If he's in, he might shadow Julio Jones. Julio's like a lot like Antonio Brown, man. You can't just shadow him and shut him down. He gets his catches and he gets his yards.
Okay, so
Atlanta, the only thing that you're going to have to worry about with Atlanta is their defense, because the Bills have shown that they can put up points, and if they can shut McCoy down and make the Bills one-dimensional, it's going to be a long day for Buffalo.
I've been high on Atlanta since the preseason, really since the Super Bowl. I mean, even when they lost the Super Bowl, I was like, I felt so bad for Atlanta, but I knew this football team was good, real good. And they are the closest thing to the 99 Rams I've ever seen. You've got two outstanding wide receivers. You got a tight end that they can go to, two running backs, which is something the Rams didn't have, and a quarterback at the controls that's not only accurate but is good with the deep ball. And on turf, there's just no one faster. And I think a lot of teams fall behind early to Atlanta because they just can't match the speed. And then they finally get into the swing of things, and that's kind of when they get into the game a little bit. I think Atlanta wins this thing 34-10, 34-17 type of football game. Too much offense, and their defense is starting to come around. And Beasley's going to be able to track down Tyrod Taylor. He's not going to run all free willy and all over the place like he did last week against Denver. He's a little bit more of a track and field type of defender than anything that the Denver Broncos had, unfortunately for Denver, fortunately for Buffalo. So I see Atlanta winning this thing. I think they shut down Tyrod. LaShawn isn't going to do much on the ground. He might get his yardage through the air, using him on screen passes. I can see him scoring a touchdown or even two that route. But running-wise, Buffalo's going to be so far behind they're going to have to throw it, and that's going to put them in trouble because then the Falcons' D can tee off. I've been really struggling with this one, Eric. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. It's a good thing for the Steelers that they're not at home because when they do return to Pittsburgh, I think you're going to see a lot of empty seats. A lot of the paraphernalia burning that I've been seeing have been Steeler fans and not too many other teams. I think they've got a really upset fan base. They said that they were going to come out and do something different this go around. But I think it's a distraction. I think they're spending too much time figuring out what they're going to do about something that isn't football related. And I'm telling you right now, I promise you, Eric, the minute the Ravens got on the airplane, they were discussing football and how to attack the Steelers. I want to pick Baltimore so bad because I just think this off-the-field distraction stuff is going to get to Pittsburgh yet again. But Ben Roethlisberger does well against the Ravens. I think the Ravens were exposed a bit last week. I mean, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh, but only, I'm telling you right now, you'll know early. If Le'Veon Bell isn't getting the yardage on the ground to open up the passing game, the Ravens are going to win this football game. Le'Veon Bell better rush for 100 yards in this game or Pittsburgh's in trouble. I'm picking Pitt, but in a close one. And I'm thinking like 21-17, 20-13, 21, or 20-17 type of game. Who do you got?
I'm going to go Baltimore in this game. Two reasons. Baltimore's pissed and at home, and Pittsburgh 2 road games in a row. I believe they feel they should have won in Chicago. That they should have. But I think you're also going to see a Terrence West, Javorius Allen taking advantage of Pittsburgh rush defense that can be run through. And you're not going to put this whole game on Flacco's shoulders. You want to watch a good old 1980 defensive game, you're going to want to watch Baltimore-Pittsburgh. It's going to be a great defensive game. And the one guy who's going to make all the difference in the world, because he gets to Ben Roethlisberger, he creates havoc, is Terrell Suggs.
Yeah.
Terrell Suggs is only going to be in the NFL a couple more years.
Yeah, T-Sizzle's legit.
He's getting up there in age. He's somewhere, he's my age, I believe, and I'm mid-30s. So, Suggs isn't going to be around much anymore. He wants to leave his mark on this rivalry, and he has in the past.
Yeah.
He's helped. Baltimore's defense is going to carry this team, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer. Look at it being like 24-23 or 23-20 or something.
Yeah.
A field goal is going to decide this game.
Yeah.
And I like Tucker over Boswell, especially in Baltimore, because that Pittsburgh field at Heinz Field is so choppy. It's kind of like Soldier Field. But Baltimore has a nice field turf, and Justin Tucker can kick from like 80 yards. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but you get my drift.
Yeah.
He's got a great leg. I expect Tucker to win a game with his leg this week.
So the next game, I will tell you right now, for those of you that didn't get a chance to watch it, the Indianapolis Colts Cleveland Brown game was really good. I recorded it. It's going to be added to my collection. Normally I record a game I think is going to be good and then delete it. This is not one of them. I know no one cares about teams that aren't named New England, Pittsburgh, Dallas, Green Bay, Seattle, Denver, or, New York Giants. But that was a good game. And the Browns really came on strong at the end and came up short. The Bengals played really tough in Green Bay last week. This is going to be a fun game between two teams that are desperate to win. I don't care that the records are 0-3. This isn't going to be bad football. This is going to be desperate football, and that sometimes is the most fun to watch. I'm going to pick Cleveland at home, but I think the two things you want to look for in this game, if you're watching it, is Cleveland able to get Duke Johnson open in both the running game and the passing game. He doesn't need 100 yards rushing. He needs around 50, but he should have around 50 to 60 yards receiving as well. If he's involved in the game plan, that's going to open everything else up for the Cleveland Browns, and I like Kaiser's development. He's looking better each week. So I just think Andy Dalton right now learning a new offensive system in yet another week. I think it's going to take them time. I think they're going to have a long year. I like the direction their new offensive coordinator is taking their football team, but until they decide to run the ball more and take the pressure off Andy Dalton and be more consistent with it, I think they're in trouble. I think the Browns are good enough to win. It looks like Myles Garrett's probably going to play this week, so I'm picking Cleveland in a tough one. Your go. You there? We're having technical difficulty.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm here. I'm glad you mentioned Myles Garrett. Because he did practice this week. Well, it was one practice, but he has actually been ruled out for the game against the Bengals.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yes. And I know you picked Cleveland, and I know you said Cleveland was going to have a better year, which you said that last show, and I tend to agree with you on that. But your biggest weapon is out with a broken hand. You have Stone Hands as one of your other wide receivers. You're very familiar with him. You wouldn't trust him with a little kid or a baby.
Kenny Britt, that's what I said in the last show, yeah.
And you're right, they do have Duke Johnson, who's a great receiver on the backfield. The problem is he can't run.
He had a great touchdown run last week. He saw the hole, he cut it, and he broke a tackle. I mean, he looked good against Indy.
But he's not your typical type of running back. That's what Crowell is for. And Crowell really hasn't broken out. So then a lot of that gets put on Kaiser's shoulders. Which, you know what? I think the young kid is really up for the big challenge and the big stage. That's going to take the Browns a while before they're on that national stage and he can show it off. But I think that's where he wants to get the Browns right now, and he's got to take the steps to get there. So I like what I saw out of Cincinnati's offense, especially their offense, with the new offensive coordinator. I think his name is Bill Lazor.
Yeah.
Lazor or something.
Yep.
He took over for Zampese, who was fired after week 2. And the Bengals put 21 points. Actually, 14 offensive points, 1 pick six. But A.J. Green got involved. And I want to know who on Cleveland is going to cover A.J. Green. I like Cincinnati in this game. I like them by about 7 to 10 points. I think Andy Dalton is starting to feel that pressure, saying, hey, we don't win now. The playoffs are completely out of reach. I know it's a long shot now, but we got to get that first win. And I think you're going to see the Bengals as the more desperate team to get that win.
Okay, so you're going with Cincinnati.
Going with Cincinnati.
All right, what do you got for the I'll let you start with this one, Tennessee-Houston.
Tennessee-Houston. Oh, man. I checked the football schedule where I am as far as the games that I get, and I was disappointed I didn't see this game on my that's going to be shown in my area on Sunday. Two young stud quarterbacks, Watson coming into his own, and Mariota, who's already basically made a mark on this league.
Yeah.
Then that Houston defense, so they got shredded by Tom Brady, but what defense really doesn't? And that includes Kansas City last year. And they stayed in the game against Brady, but it's hard to overcome 5 touchdown passes. And a 22-second touchdown to go, 22 seconds to go in the fourth quarter touchdown pass, perfectly to Brandon Cooks. But Tennessee is the more complete team right now. I mean, finally the Texans defense in week 3 got a couple of sacks. Clowney had 2 sacks. They were actually held sackless for the first 2 games, which was amazing. And so I expect them to actually have a lot better game, especially at home. Different home game than week 1 because, they didn't have the hurricane on their minds and people in Houston on their minds. So you're going to see a different Houston Texans team come out this week. But I like Tennessee in a close game.
Yeah.
I just think Mariota's going to make more plays than Watson in this game. And don't get me wrong, I like the Texans. I think they got a great quarterback. They have a great defense. They actually have a really good wide receivers, and Will Fuller comes back this week, so that's going to just add to Houston's offensive dynamic. But I like Tennessee in this game going back to. They should wear the Oilers. I'm just saying, they should wear their Oilers uniforms.
That would be sweet. Look, I'm picking Tennessee, and there's a lot of different reasons why. I think they're a better football team. That's first and foremost. I think the Texans have some problems stopping the pass. If they decide they're going to put 8 in the box and stop Tennessee's run, they're going to be in trouble. Mariota can burn them with his feet. But ultimately, I think what's going to happen is it's going to be 23-20. Tennessee. They're going to get the football with about 6 minutes to go, and Houston's not going to get the ball back. They're going to run out the clock. They're that kind of football team. They're smash mouth, punch you in the mouth, and play good defense. And I know they had a hiccup against Seattle, and they were at home, and they were emotional. But if you're going to win this division, you've got to go into Houston and beat a football team that you're better than. And right now, you can say what you want about Houston. They're a good football team, I agree. But the Titans are better. And if you're better, you win. It's the same reason the Rams had to go into San Fran last week and win. You're a better football team. You have to win. They need to get Henry and Murray involved early. And if they do, and whether that's they're stacking the box and they're play actioning them and hitting and completing the pass down the field, so be it. That's still getting them involved. If it's handing them the rock and letting them smash in the line a couple of times and get their nose bloodied, fine, so be it. That's what they got to do. They're getting involved. They got to find some way to include them in the game plan, because at the end of the game, I think they're going to have the ability to wear out the Houston Texans defense. And that's saying a lot considering how good the Texans D is. I agree. I'm picking Tennessee. I'm going to be quick on this one. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Detroit at Minnesota. The reason I don't want to spend too much time on this is because it's kind of a broken record. We've seen this every time these two teams play. The Vikings defense has to find a way to make plays in the fourth quarter. I think they learned from last year's upsets at home in overtime, 22-16. And I think they learned from the 16-13 Thanksgiving Day fiasco last year. I think Minnesota at home wants this game. I'm telling you as a player, they had this game circled on their calendar early on, Eric. They knew in week 4 Detroit was coming to town, and they want to send a message. The Lions are a good football team. I'm eating crow on them, and I fully admit that. I don't know how they're doing it. It seems like it's just Stafford against 11 defenders, but he's making plays and he's finding ways to do it. So I expect this to be a close game. But Minnesota at home, I think they're going to get the running game going. I think their defense is going to make a play in the fourth quarter. I got the Vikings winning, probably in overtime or another 3-point game, but Minnesota steals it this time.
Well, I think you're going to see 50 pass attempts by Matthew Stafford. Because even though they want to try to force the run, they don't have any good running backs. Abdullah's not good. Riddick's not good. Zenner's not good. They're not going to be able to do to the Vikings what they did to the Giants on Monday Night Football 2 weeks ago.
No.
So you're going to see Stafford with 50 pass attempts, a few 3 and outs. You're going to see the game get close in the fourth, only because Minnesota was up by a couple of scores in the second half. Because what they're going to do is they're going to run Dalvin Cook right down that Lions defense. And if it's not going to be Cook, Case Keenum is starting this game, and it's going to be the first time that I'm picking the Vikings as far as Case Keenum being the starting quarterback. And it's going to be Nathan Thielen, and maybe they'll get Rudolph involved this week. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the Lions won't have an answer. So it'll get close in the fourth, but it'll be the Vikings who are prevailing in the end.
We agree. Carolina at New England. I think the Panthers are as bad as I said. Hopefully people understand why I said it now. There's obviously something wrong with Cam Newton. But it seems to me, and I watch a lot of Panther games because I have McCaffrey on my fantasy team when I get a chance, and it just seems to me like every time he goes to McCaffrey, it's reluctantly. It's like, I don't know if Cam Newton doesn't like him, if he's upset that he's taking away from what he's traditionally done on the offense, or if there's just no chemistry. But it's almost like he'll look and look and look, and you can tell he's the primary receiver sometimes. But he'll try to go to Benjamin. He'll try to go to Olsen. He'll try to go somewhere else. And then he'll go to McCaffrey. I expect McCaffrey to have a big game this week because there is no Olsen and there is no Benjamin, right?
No, Benjamin is playing.
Okay. So he won't have as big of a game as I thought because he'll go Benjamin. But look, New England's going to take Benjamin away. So that's going to force him to go to McCaffrey a little bit more. But I just don't think Carolina has enough chemistry, and I don't think they're a good enough football team. I think New England puts a 40-burger on the board and blows the Panthers out.
Well, you spent a lot more time on your pick for this game than I think I would have. If Carolina gets the ball first, it might be their only lead of the game. I think they march down and get a field goal or touchdown. Otherwise, it's going to be New England all day.
Yeah, I agree. Jacksonville at the Jets. This game for me is it's an interesting game for Jacksonville. This is the first time I look at this and go, Jacksonville should win this thing handily. It better not be close. 20-6, I'll take. But if it's 20-13, 20-16, 20-17, 21-20, I think Jacksonville's going to be an up and down team all year long. I got Jacksonville over the Jets. I just don't think the Jets have enough of anything, especially the quarterback position.
I would be 100% confident to pick Jacksonville if this game were played in Jacksonville or England. And I throw England in there because, as I said on the prior show, that that's their second home. And it could be their permanent home in a few years.
Yeah.
I'm very sold on that. That's neither here nor there. We're talking about the Jets and the Jaguars. You know, McCown finally found some chemistry in week 3 with Robbie Anderson and found some chemistry also in week 1 with Jermaine Kearse. But the Jets defense, man, since this game is actually being played in the Meadowlands, I mean, I am 60% confident that the Jaguars win this game. I think you're going to see a huge game from Leonard Fournette, and you're going to see equally big games from Marquise Lee and Allen Hurns. Mercedes Lewis was a beast last week when they needed him to be against the Ravens in London. So I think the Jets are going to think, let's stop Lewis again this week, but it's going to be Hurns and Lee who get majority of the targets. And I trust Bortles a little bit more than I trust McCown right now. So give me the Jaguars by 10.
Okay. San Francisco at Arizona. I think the Cardinals are in real danger here. Because if they think they're just going to roll San Fran, look, the Niners showed a lot last week. And the Cardinals, they have issues. I'm picking Arizona, but I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think the 49ers offense is starting to gear up, and I think that there's a very real possibility of an upset here, but this isn't where I'm going with my upset pick. I'm going to say Arizona wins it, but I think Arizona wins it in a close one, like a 21-17, 21-14 kind of game. But I am picking the Cardinals, Eric. Your go.
Well, I can understand where you're coming from as far as San Francisco keeping it close. However, against the Rams, they were at home. And even though they were at home in week 1 against Carolina, they only put up 3 points. And Carolina or the Rams do not have a quarterback by the name of Patrick Peterson or an equivalent of Patrick Peterson to slow down Pierre Garçon from getting 142 yards again. Peterson shuts down Garçon. Cardinals side is questionable. He's expected to play. But if he goes out, the 49ers don't have another explosive running back like Hyde. And so I think you're going to see Chris Johnson hit a lot of holes. He's going to have 75 yards or more on the ground rushing. And the Cardinals are going to lean on that along with getting Fitzgerald and Brown and Nelson the ball. And Palmer's going to have a good game. So I don't think it's going to be as close. Give me the Cardinals by 17.
All right.
Like a 34-17 score.
All right. Philadelphia at the Chargers. The Chargers get to play their third of 16 straight home games, apparently. Evidently, the Chargers don't get to leave LA this year. I've never seen a team have this many home games early. What are we, 3 weeks into the season, and they have 3 out of 4 home games? Or is it all 4? Were they on the road yet this year?
Didn't they play in Denver?
Monday night. Monday night, that's right. So then they got 3 straight weeks at home. Okay. Because they're at home, because it's the 3rd straight week at home, because of the way they looked, and because the Eagles are coming off of an emotional victory, and I do think they're a good football team, I see trap game everywhere written on this game. I'm actually going to pick the Chargers, and my upset pick of the week is going to be this game. Just so you know, I'm 2-0 on my upset picks of the week. I didn't have one in week 1. I never have one in week 1. I just kind of go with the norm or what you think's going to happen and let it play out. Washington was my upset pick of the week last week, and the week before, my I can't remember who my upset pick of the week. Denver. I had 2 last week. Or was that? No, that was the week before. I had Denver over Dallas. I'm going with San Diego over Philly here, Eric, and I'm going to tell you why, and I'll be brief. And we're almost done, and I like to get the show in under an hour, so we're close. But here's why I'm picking San Diego. I think Gordon can run the ball a little bit. The Eagles' defense was exposed in the passing game, and I think Phillip Rivers right now is playing at a higher level than Eli Manning, and I think the Chargers defense can get to the quarterback a little bit more effectively than what the Giants were able to do last week. And they're home for the third week in a row. I just think that plays a part in it. I'm going with San Diego in a very close game, but that is my upset pick of the week. I'm sure you disagree, so go.
You know, it's funny that you say that, actually. I was ready to pick the Eagles when I believe you just convinced me to take the L.A. Chargers.
No, it's the Oakland Chargers. Shut up.
Okay, so last week, you know, this particular player is explosive, but he's not like the number one at his position on their team. Good special teamer. I think they're going to miss him a tremendous amount. You know, Darren Sproles tore his ACL and broke his arm all on the same play last week, and he's out for the year.
Ouch.
And I think that Eagles lose a weapon on offense. You know, they have a few weapons already. You know, Blunt has been pretty much non-existent. So Wendell Smallwood is one of the guys people are talking about to watch out for in the backfield. And with Jeffrey on one side and Ertz going down the middle, you know, Wentz is coming into his own. So the Eagles have a good offense and they have a decent defense. But I do like Gordon a lot more for San Diego running the ball than I do the Eagles, and I still like Gates over Ertz. It's not by much, but
yeah.
Joe Wiley better and still gets open. And the wide receivers for San Diego are healthy, which they've been healthy for a while. And unlike last year when they were decimated by wide receiver injuries. So
yeah.
I'm actually going to go with you on the Chargers on this one. You actually convinced me when you were saying it. I was like, oh yeah, take Philadelphia. But you know what? I like the Chargers at home this week. I probably think that they can win one for their 17,000 fans that show up.
Sorry, Charger fans. That's not many of you. Okay. The Giants at the Buccaneers. I'm going to pick the Giants. They're not going winless. The Buccaneers are not playing the Bears, and they need to prove it to me. And until they prove it to me, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Giants. I think the Giants have weapons. I expect a big game from Sterling Shepard. I think their defense can get after their wide receivers. Winston, for me, is the X factor, and he's certainly capable of winning this game on his own. I'm not by any means confident in this pick, but it is a gut feeling that I have that I think the Giants are kind of in a desperation mode here. I'm not going to say the season's over, but if they lose this week, the season's over. So they need to win this game to even stay somewhat relevant at this point. I got the Giants beating the Bucs, and I think it's going to be another, pick 'em. It'll be under 7. So if it's 6.5, I wouldn't go with it. But if it's, I'm going with the Giants to win this game, just a straight win. I'll go New York.
Well, then their season's over because I'm going Tampa.
Okay.
You're going to see a heck of a wide receiver display between Evans and Odell Beckham Jr. Just that Evans won't pee on anybody or pee on the pylon or anything like that. Olivier Vernon is questionable to play, and last I heard, it's most likely a game-time decision, so if he's out, that's just going to give a lot more running room to Douglas Rodgers and a lot more time in the pocket for Winston to hit one of his 742 targets that he has on the field with him.
Yeah.
I like Tampa Bay at home. They're not playing a tough defense like they did against Minnesota last week, especially on the road. They're at home. I feel a lot more comfortable there. So I like Tampa Bay in this one.
All right, Oakland at Denver. The Raiders, Carr is not Taylor. And those receivers are way better than what the Buffalo Bills had. And offensive line-wise, they're way better than the Bills had. And they're angry. I dare say pissed off. I think the Raiders go into Denver, and this is going to be a statement game. And it's going to be a statement game for two teams. It's going to be a statement game for the Raiders and the Redskins. It's going to show you just how good the Redskins really are this year, and they're going to stomp Denver. I'm thinking 17, 20-point game. I wouldn't be surprised if this was 34-14 or 30-7, 34-17 or even 31-10 type of football game. I'm picking Oakland over Denver. They're used to Mile High. They know the Broncos, but I'm picking the Raiders in a strong comeback statement game.
Well, in order for the Raiders to win, I like to actually see a strong defensive showing. Something that I haven't seen at all this year with Oakland. And the Jets don't count. Not in my book. They played a tough Buffalo team at home. Buffalo's no slouch. And the Redskins defense gave Carr no time, no holes, no open lanes, no nothing. Denver's defense is better than Buffalo's. Denver's defense is better than Washington's. Give me the Broncos in a close game on a missed DeVecchio field goal.
Interesting call. Okay, Indianapolis at Seattle. Not a lot to say here. Jacoby Brissett, I like him if this was home. I think he's getting better with each start. I'm not going to crown him the next great quarterback like the experts are already doing. He's definitely an improving quarterback. Seattle at home, look for them to get the running game right. I'm very curious to see this because one of the things that we look for as coaches is common opponents. And the Cardinals didn't look good against the Colts at Indy. Seattle's at home like the Rams were against the Colts. So I'm real curious to see, is this going to be a 46-9 whitewash? Or is this going to be a 16-13 overtime type of football game? Or is it somewhere in between? How much farther are the Rams than the rest of the division? That's what this game is going to tell me. I got Seattle winning. I think it'll be a win. I think it'll be a handleable win. I don't know if it's going to be 46-9, but I think they'll win rather easily. And look for them to kind of get the running game right and maybe a little too much confidence going into LA next week. I got Seattle.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that, Anthony. Here's the thing. Indianapolis does not have a pass rusher that can consistently disrupt Russell Wilson and his timing or his offensive line. Now, we know Seattle's offensive line woes. We've talked about them for weeks now, ever since week 1 at Green Bay.
Yep.
Unless there's somebody that actually gets into the backfield and messes with Russell Wilson a little bit, it'll be close. You know, I see this like a 2-score game, whether that's 10 or more.
Yeah.
I don't see Indy going into Seattle. You know, I think Sherman will be on Hilton, so he'll limit his production to like 60, 70 yards. That's going to be a long day for Indy. So give me the Seahawks as well.
Yep. Okay, this is the second best game of the week, and I mean it. Washington at Kansas City on Monday night is going to be, I dare say, a potential Super Bowl preview. It has the potential to be that. I think the Redskins are as good as advertised. They convinced me on that Raider win. I expected them to beat the Raiders, but I did not expect – that should have been a 27-0 shutout. Now they go into Kansas City where Philadelphia lost by 7. And I think, you know, the Redskins can make a statement here that we are here, we are ready, and we are here to prove what happened last week was legit. And Kansas City wants to go 4-0 and really show where they're at in their division and where they're at in the AFC and have everybody keep talking about them because they're that good of a football team. This is going to be a back and forth game. It's going to be a close game. I got the Chiefs winning 34-31 in overtime. I even picked an OT. I'm telling you, this game, I have no way of knowing for sure, obviously. But man, I will not be even remotely surprised if this goes into overtime. They're both really well matched against one another. I got Kansas City winning though. I think the running game is going to be a little much. Even if the Redskins do stop it, they have the tight end, which is something the Raiders don't have. They clearly can lock down their receivers, but Kelsey's going to be a problem. Hunt's the real deal. He reminds me of Priest Holmes. I said that last week. I think, you know, Cousins is back. I think he's on track now. I think that running game is really starting to take a stranglehold on the making the identity of the Redskins what it is. But I think in the end, it's going to be a smash-mouth football game with some great runs back and forth. But I think Hunt gets the better of it barely, and I'm going to go with the Chiefs winning 34-31 overtime. You?
All right. Well, that's a very interesting sentiment that you bring to the last game of the week. I like Kansas City in this game as well, but I don't think it's going to be as close. You mentioned Philadelphia losing by 7 in Kansas City last week.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
But Philadelphia is better than Washington. And Washington is missing a key component. They still have yet to find Jerome Pryor on the field.
Yeah.
Cousins barely looks his way. Rob Kelly is questionable. He's their unquestioned lead back right now. Ryan hasn't wrestled that away. Chris Thompson's great on the backfield, but catching, you can't give him you can't give him the ball 20 times a game. You have to limit his touches so you don't get him beat up. So I think the X factor for Washington to keep it close is if Jordan Reed is healthy. Well, if Jordan Reed is healthy and plays in this game, obviously, well, let me take that back. Jordan Reed is never healthy, but if he plays in this game, he could be a huge factor for that Washington offense. Now, you're going to see Travis Kelce have a huge game. Why? 1 catch, 1 yard last week. That's it. Yes, Kareem Hunt stole the show, but there's no way that Kelce is going to be held that low again. So you're going to chalk him up for 90-plus yard receiving and 2 touchdowns. You're going to see Hunt get a touchdown and a touchdown to Tyreek Hill. So you're already looking at 28 points. So give me the Chiefs 31-14.
Wow. See, I have them scoring 31 points in regulation as well. The problem is I have the Redskins scoring 31 points in regulation also, which is why the overtime. Interesting. All right, so finally, the main event. The best game of the week, and I'm not even playing. Eric, do you agree with that statement? Is LA at Dallas the best game of the week?
No. Because I think that's Washington and Kansas City. I think that's a huge game right there.
Yeah.
Both have patience. Don't get me wrong. Every game this week is big for a lot of teams, and that's including LA and Dallas.
No, I didn't say biggest. I said best. I said best game of the week. You've got 2 teams in the same conference playing each other. It's a rivalry, an old rivalry. They're 4-4 against each other in postseason history. That means they've played 8 times in the postseason. And I'm not even counting the playoff bowl of 1967, which a lot of people don't even realize was a thing, or 1969, sorry, which the Rams won, by the way. But this is a rivalry. This is 2 good football teams. It's 2 teams that's going to run the ball. Their quarterbacks are going to convert third down. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be a short game because I think that both the teams are going to run the ball rather effectively. I just think overall it's going to be the best game of the weekend. Not the biggest, because they're all big, but the best. Do you agree with that?
All right, I'll give that to you. I think you're going to see 2 teams looking to establish their identity early as far as running the ball. And it's going to come down to who makes the less mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
At first, when I saw this game, I'm like, okay, well, the Rams are on the road. They're going to Dallas. And I'm like, well, how many yards does Ezekiel Elliott can have? Because I've seen the Rams run defense the last couple of weeks, and it wasn't all that impressive. But it's a big game. A big enough game for that Rams run defense to show up and have a big impact on that final score. Not saying they're going to win, not saying they're going to lose, but I just think Dallas is a little too tough at home. Elliott's finally started getting going in Arizona. I think he's going to carry that over.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're going to see Dallas eke out a win by a field goal.
So, you say a field goal. So here's the deal for me. The keys to this game, and I want your keys to the game too. The keys to the game for me is the line of scrimmage. Both offensive line and defensive line for both teams. Who wins the battle at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball? The who does is the who wins. And that means then that the running game has to make plays. I'm going to tell you right now, the team with the most 20, I'm not even going to say 20, the most 15-plus play runs in this game is going to win. I'm telling you that right now. So the key for me, the 3 keys for me is the line of scrimmage, who can convert or the ability to convert third down. So I'm going to give you the keys for the Rams basically, and they're the same for the Cowboys. The Rams have to establish the line of scrimmage. They have to convert third down without question, and they have got to find a way to get the tight ends the football. You cannot live on 3 wide receivers and a running back all year long. Now, whether that's Gerald Everett continues his incline, or we finally get Higbee involved, the tight end has to be a part of the game plan today, because I think the middle of the field today, depending when I post this, the middle of the field is going to be wide open. And Goff has to take advantage of that by getting the ball to the tight ends. And I think it's the same for Dallas. And Dallas has a little bit better tight end, obviously, in Jason Witten. So, when I look at this game, the 3 keys for me, again, are the interior line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball, the ability to convert third down, and the ability to get the ball to the tight end. Whoever does that mostly is going to win. And you're going to know early who's going to win this game. Because if they're going 3 and out and they're playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage, that team's going to win the football game. Because it's not going to stop. It's going to carry over for the rest of the game. Those are my 3 keys for this game. What are your 3 keys before we pick a winner?
Okay. So the first two out of 3 keys to this game refer to the Rams. Number 1, win the coin toss, get the ball first, score first, put Dallas in a hole. You get Dallas, you make Dallas pass their way up throughout the game, and you have a lot better chance to win than if you let Ezekiel Elliott run wild in their defense. Mm-hmm. 2, turnovers. Always turnovers.
Yeah.
If Goff can be limited to 0 or 1, the Rams have a great shot at pulling out a huge win in Dallas. 3, feed your running backs. Once you start feeding your running backs, and Gurley and Elliott are very explosive. Both lines can open up holes for each running back. How is the defense going to respond? But that also creates bootlegs. That also creates play action. Who's the team that's going to be able to capitalize on that more? That's your winner right there.
Right. This really is. Ezekiel Elliott reminds me a lot of Herschel Walker in his prime with Dallas. And Todd Gurley, as I've said over and over again, he even wears the same number, reminds me of Lawrence McCutcheon. And I think that this is really the most fun element of the game to watch, more than the quarterbacks this week, are those 2 running backs going at it. Look, I made the mistake of going against what I had said in the preseason, breaking the Rams schedule down in week 2. I'm not doing it again. I will obviously always want the Rams to win every game and go undefeated. But going into Dallas, with the way their defense is played against the run, I see a 24-14, 24-17 type of win for the Dallas Cowboys. I just don't think the Rams are going to be able to go in and do enough to win. Now, obviously, they're capable of it. I'm not saying they're not capable of it, and I will be ecstatic if they win this game. I think it's going to be a statement game. This 3-1 will feel very different from last year's 3-1 start. I just don't know. I just don't believe in the running game, the run defense enough right now with how they looked against Washington and San Francisco. And those corners are not good. And we need to either get John Johnson in there, our rookie from BC, or we need to really make sure that's what our focus is with the first round. I'm going to go Dallas 24-14 over the Rams. Eric, your go.
I appreciate you not being a homer. And when I say that, I was listening again to sports radio out here in Chicago, and they talked on the Waddle and Sylvie show, as I mentioned previous. They were talking to some guys like, oh yeah, give me the Bears. The Packers have they're down to their 5th and 6th offensive linemen because of injuries, and this guy's injured, and that guy's injured. And I'm like, well, stop being a homer just because they have injuries. Again, they have Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. That might be all they need to win. Sure enough, go ahead and turn the ball over enough times for Green Bay to have a game. But like I said, I appreciate not being a homer and keeping it real. Because if you just pick the Rams every single game, you get kind of old.
Yeah, what's the point of doing the show, too? You're not being on.
Right, exactly. So, like I said, I appreciate that. and I think it just adds an extra element to the show here. With that being said, as I already gave my prediction that it's going to be a lot closer than I think you and I think it's going to be. It's going to be come down to a field goal. Um, Again, it's going to be a fun game to watch, and I'm interested to see who can stop the run and who can create the turnovers and what team's going to get out of there with no significant injuries. Because it's going to be a hard-hitting, hard-fought, loud, atmospheric game.
It's a rivalry. It's a rivalry. It's a rivalry renewed. LA and Dallas has always been a rival. And it won't and you consider what Des Bryant said about the Cowboys being the real team in LA. The Rams are going to bring that, and it's going to be a fun game. Do you get it out there in Illinois?
I don't.
Oh, that's a crying shame. All right. Well, I don't know if we do. I have to double check, but I think we probably will because it's a morning game, but it just depends if Fox has a doubleheader this week. All righty. Well, once again, we went over an hour. So for those of you that are pissed off about that, I'm sorry. But again, the Sunday shows are 4 to 5 hours. At least we're only an hour and 5 minutes. So watch it the last hour and 5 before the game starts. Hour and 6 now. We really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for the subscriptions. I'm up to 914. I'd really like to get over 1,000. I know some input has been heard. Trying to find a format that gets this show under an hour. Ideally, I'd like a 45-minute show. I think 2 45-minute shows would be great. That gets us to an hour and a half of coverage per week. But, you know, we don't get a chance to do this very often, and I want to make sure that we give every team their due diligence. So, sorry. But thanks again for the subscriptions. Enjoy this week. We'll see how we do. So far, me and Eric are off to a rocking start at 30 and 17 each. And it is fitting that we're tied. You know, we'll let you know how badly Eric lost in fantasy football on Wednesday. So hope you guys enjoyed the show. That's my 2 cents. And Eric, take us home.
You know, as the season starts getting more into the season, because you see a lot of not good football at the beginning, and now you're starting to see those games take place in the middle of the season that can really define your season. And this Rams game against Dallas, hey, if they win, you know, start thinking of division.
Yeah.
Start thinking of that division. Yeah. It could be within your grasp. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
No.
So there's a lot of teams that if they go in to play at tough places this week, that those are season defining. And it's going to be interesting to see what Washington can do in Kansas City, what the Rams can do in Dallas. The Pittsburgh-Baltimore game, always, you know, hard-hitting, not only the slugfest, but hard-hitting defense.
Yeah.
So, you know, keep in mind when you're watching these games on Sunday, as we preview the games, you know, forthcoming as well, that, hey, if you get a win that you're not supposed to technically win, you know, things are settled on the football field, not on paper. So, be happy what your team's doing, well, except if you're 0 and whatever,
yeah,
or 1 and whatever. But if you have an exciting team like the Rams do, this could be an exciting season. And if they're able to pull this game out in Dallas, good things are going to happen for the Rams this year.
Agreed. So this is Eric and Anthony saying thank you for watching